Yeah, hi, can you hear me? Okay. Jim Shelton, I'm a science advisor for global health at AID, and maybe this is a little inside baseball, I suppose. But I want to start off by saying that, I really think if you look at the armamentarium of interventions that we have now in global health, for example, the Global Health Initiative, most of them did really not come through the sort of paradigm that I think is in many people's minds, that there's some fundamental discovery and then there's some kind of sequential path that gets you to a product. Some of it does, and Jeff mentioned them. But if you look at something, for example, like insecticide-treated bed nets, which is a killer intervention, a game changer in a sense, that really didn't follow that path. Male circumcision is another, Jeff mentioned, another example. Vitamin A really did not follow that path. Oral rehydration really did not follow that path. So I think we need to think, and it doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best way, but it's certainly historically the way things have happened. And I do think in the sort of other arenas of innovation, a lot of things kind of do come out of left field in a sense. And part of the issue is how to be kind of receptive to those things and then try to apply them. Which sort of brings me to the next sort of point in this sequence, which is I do think that AID is quite good at taking those kinds of things and applying them both in terms of science, and I do think we're quite good at clinical trials, by the way, with our science, with our collaborators, including this microbicide trial, but also through other kinds of innovation. And I guess I want to put on the table a bit of separation between R&D and science and innovation, which I hear Maura saying. I mean, your example of the solar light thing, that was innovation. To me, that was not science. I mean, the supply chain that Jeff talked about was innovation and good application. It wasn't science. We want to use science. I love science and so forth. But I think if we marry it too closely to science and research all the time, we kind of leave out the set of folks who are just innovative and don't see themselves as scientists.
Well, let's throw that to you, Maura.
I would just agree. I think a lot of the innovation is in distribution networks. It's in repurposing something. So I think science and technology is fundamental, but it's not. But as you say, if you think that innovation begins and ends with science and technology, then you've missed a huge part of the opportunity.
So, Tom, do you want to comment on that as well?
Yeah, I think the answer is it's both. So I think there are things that are growing out of fundamental research that are going to have a huge impact. There's a project, for example, that uses synthetic biology to lower the cost of making the most effective antimalarial drug by a factor of 10. People have ideas. George Whiteside's a chemist, has ideas for using advances in microfluidics to make a lab-on-a-chip made out of paper that is going to dramatically reduce the cost of diagnostics. So I think there are things like that that grow out of fundamental research that are going to be really important. And then I think there are other things that are just, all of the applications of mobile technology that use SMS as a platform. There was a whole lot of investment in research and development in, CDMA and deep micron silicon CMOS. That the development community,
that for those of us who don't know what you're talking about?
The development community doesn't need to worry about. All they need to know is it exists and it's really cheap and you can use it for lots of different purposes. So I think that there is a lot of innovation that is going to come at that the development community can just sort of treat it as a platform without having to worry about all of the investments in research and development that were needed to create that platform.
Was there another hand up that I missed? Okay, let me, yes? Is that yes or no? Okay, yes. Over here.
With more inside baseball, I guess. I'm David Stanton, also with USAID. And I've participated in a few of these conversations now, and it occurs to me that there's a roadblock that's evolving very quickly. in ways that we might not be realizing. And I don't know that we'll get an answer today, but I'd like to start the discussion. And that's the role of intellectual property rights. Now, PEPFAR was, you can characterize it in many ways, but one of the things it was a huge technology transfer experiment that worked. And it would have failed had not this government gotten over the roadblock of intellectual property rights around antiretroviral drugs. We did. There wouldn't be 5 million people on treatment today if we hadn't. What I think is intriguing is not, you know, people, you say intellectual property rights and you think, okay, big pharma is protecting their drugs. But I'm also thinking about this woman that invented this solar suitcase. Does she want a cut of the action as well? And if we are going to sort of have this reverse innovation that Dr. Khalil, you talked about, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, but it's also the profit motive. And if people don't see that their innovations are going to be, they're not going to be recognized monetarily for their innovations, we could also, in a reverse sense, be stifling that. And I don't think the development community really, I mean, we got lucky with PEPFAR, but I don't think that we've really come to grips with the role of the intellectual property rights, how that fosters innovation, and how it inhibits it as well. Thanks.
Tom, do you want to take that? Perhaps more something to add.
Well, I agree that it's an important issue. I don't know that I could tell you, oh, therefore we have to do A, B, and C. You know, I think that these discussions wind up being really, you know, context dependent. And I think that a lot of times you are struggling to balance